Watching and listening Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition. We're here every Wednesday night on our brand new home, vocal.com. This is episode 407, and I'm your host, Stevie, alongside Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful. It's sitting here in my underwear, so you know how it is.
I wasn't gonna say it. I noticed it. Little backstage as Kodi was setting up there, prancing over to his seat that you see him at, looking lovely right now, hot. I'm like, are you in your underwear?
Yes, I am in mine. Don't tell anybody, but I mean, I tell it myself. So that's
good for you.
It is what it is.
Good for you. Be comfortable. I love it. All we are seeing is those chi-chis on the front. So very good on you. By the way, you're looking at our 5-year anniversary. We're still in a 5-year anniversary mode. And you can get swag by going to TAGSPodcast.com whenever you like. You can check out show notes there, links to our Patreon page where you can support this program, links to that for as little as a cup of coffee or a high-end cocktail, as I like to do it. Go to Patreon, or you can go to patreon.com/TAGSPodcast. But links to swag and even the 5-year anniversary that we are still celebrating all year long. Well, what did you miss, Kodi? We missed you on Tuesday's podcast, episode 406. You had a family gathering you went to.
Yes, I did. I missed you guys too so much. So I'm ripping and roaring to be back.
Absolutely. And one of the things that happened actually yesterday was National Coming Out Day, October 11th. When we record this, it's October 12th. But one of the things that we talked about with Lincoln was Madonna may or may not have come out on TikTok. I don't know if you heard all about that. We're not going to relitigate that right now. He wasn't for it at all and thought she was just being silly. I said there might be something to it. But more importantly, Kodi, Velma of Scooby-Doo came out as lesbian.
Velma Dinkley, my homegirl from way back in college. Oh my!
Is that her last name?
It is. It is.
Of course you know it.
Of course I know Velma's last name. I love Velma. She's been giving me lesbian vibes since the 60s, and I adore her. She's into Black women of color. Her girlfriend is giving very much Storm vibes, and I love every second of it. So me and Velma go way back, so I'm here for it.
I love that. And like I said, yesterday was National Coming Out Day, so they timed it out perfectly, I think, for Velma to come out. Whether or not Madonna has come out or not, stay tuned on that. But here is a list. There's 45 celebrities who came out as of LGBTQ plus in 2022 so far. I'm not going to go through the whole list, obviously, because we have a show to do.
Like, woo, that's the whole show right there.
But I do know that you are a fan, obviously, of Drag Race, and Trinity the Tuck came out as transgender.
Yes.
Also in the mix of coming out as transgender were a few other ones. Do you remember in the list of... I've been scrolling through.
From Drag Race specifically, Bosco came out. I think Willow Pill came out as non-binary.
Yes, thank
you. Let me see who else is here.
Keep going through that. And some
Jasmine
people...
Kennedy came out as transgender. Go ahead. What were we going to say?
Yeah, that's really kind of a really cool thing of the last couple of years regarding Drag Race is that people are not only just coming out now, drag queens that are coming out as trans now, that I bet at the early seasons there wasn't a comfort level to even nurse that idea, even if you felt that.
Yes.
And don't you think it's such a product of the times, and we are moving forward with that drag, and the fact that the show has embraced it as well?
Oh yeah, I think RuPaul's Drag Race in general has done so much for the LGBTQ community, and that's just part of it, that these queens are coming out and they're being more comfortable in their skin, and they are more accepting of who they are on the inside in order to be able to come out and really accept who they are as people. So I really, really love that. And I adore RuPaul. RuPaul is sometimes a little bit antiquated in their thought process, but I mean, I still love and I adore RuPaul, and I really, really advocate for how much they have done for the LGBTQ community, as far even just if it's just from a visibility standpoint. So yeah,
creating a platform for people to even come out and express themselves in various facets is really cool. Also on the list that I watched his special, comedian Gerard Carmichael. I think you watched it as well.
Yes,
his special.
Daniel. Yes.
Yeah, so good. Really interesting. The list goes on and on. Janelle Monáe came out as non-binary.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think of some other ones here on the
Ava
list.
Philippe.
Reese
and Ryan's.
That's cool too, right?
Yeah. Child. I was going to say daughter, but I think they're non-binary. But yeah, so Little WAP also came out. And you know what really, really gets me about the younger people coming out? It's more like, oh, well. And Little WAP actually says that. He's like, whatever, I'm bisexual. And I think that that's so affirming to, you know, be able to come out and really just be who you are, and it not be such a big deal nowadays. When I was growing up, it used to be that it was a real struggle to actually come out and be more comfortable with yourself and in your skin. So I really, really applaud them for that.
Yeah, I want to remind everybody that we are live on Wednesday night here. And if you're live, hello, thank you so much for watching us. Tell us what age you came out in the comments section, and we'll read it throughout the show. Because this next related story, I was talking a little bit about it to Lincoln. Advocate had put it out based on a Trevor Project research, a recent research that essentially said that more and more younger people are coming out. And that's a great thing, I think the article is trying to say. But ultimately, it only really matters if they can have the support that they need. So like you said, I didn't come out until I was 20 in college. And by that point, I had resources and, you know, I was already an adult and was able to handle it. I don't know how I would handle it. I don't think earlier on, and if anybody, that I don't think anybody in my surroundings would have supported. I've told stories on the show before of examples of being, because I spent most of my time not just in school but on the gymnastic team, and it consumed so much of my time. If we weren't in practice 4 hours a day, I was traveling to a competition. And when I was around, you would think gymnastics, everyone always has that stereotype. Oh, gymnasts and ice skaters are all gay. And no, they weren't. I was probably...
Really?
No, not
at all. That was my dream back in the day, to be like in the gymnastics locker room, really like...
They were sexy and hot, but they weren't all gay. And that's the whole thing. And there were, and we're talking the 80s. So the examples were not far. And even if, and I remember, and I told the story before, so I'm not going to retell it now, but just the brief version of going to see college gymnasts in a competition and having many of my other teammates make fun of one of the guys that was on one of the teams, knowing he was gay and saying all these names and calling him, well, if he gets AIDS, he deserves it. That kind of lingo was pervasive at the time. So not welcoming at all to come out. And so when you hear things like a 2022 national survey on LGBTQ youth and mental health that examines what's going on with why suicide is at such a high level right now. Let me just read you a couple of findings. LGBTQ plus youth are coming out about their sexual orientations at younger ages. The youth in the sample who were 13 to 17 came out on average at age 13, while those 18 to 24 came out on average around 16. Those that came out before 13 had increased odds of suicide. with a number of 56% of LGBTQ plus youth who came out before 13 seriously considered
Wow.
suicide in the past year, compared to 42% of those who came out later. 22% of those who came out before 13 attempted suicide in the past year, compared to 12% of those who came out later. There's more numbers. I'll post this important story and statistics on TAGSPodcast.com on show notes for episode 407 for you to look at yourself. One related thing, and then we'll discuss the Trevor Project, who did the study, just expanded to Mexico. They're going to have an office and a crisis for Mexico online, and this is implementing all their crisis hotline that they have. And I think it's their first foray into international services, which I think is really amazing. But it's kind of crazy, right? And so important that, we say these numbers that you can come out. I don't think I maybe could have been in that category had I come out earlier based on some of these findings.
Yeah, same here. It's really saddening to hear all of these, like the statistics of it. I know that I came out around when I was 18, and I think that I had decided it was like an active decision to come out when I felt like my family could actually handle it, because I feel like I knew and was denying it a little bit earlier. And even I tried to be straight. I tried to do all the things that I could do in order to. I dated women. Oh my gosh, shocker.
Same here.
So, but yeah, it really took me a while to make sure that I was in a safe space in order for me to come out and have my family's full support when I did come out. And even then, even when I did come out, it was still a rocky road for me and my family. So I totally get those statistics, and I really, my heart goes out to all those families. And I really hope that in a future day and age, it will be easier, and that those statistics will be so much less, and they probably won't even exist. That's my hope for the future, at least.
I agree with your hope. And also watching us live right now, Billy says he came out when he was 24. I think right before I moved to Japan with the military. Wow. Coming from right before I moved to Japan with the military. So you were in the military,
yes.
I'm assuming.
I believe so.
Wow. And right before. Okay. Great. El Rey, watching us live, says, I came out as bi at 20. That was questionable.
Okay.
I got it. Right. I'm assuming are you still bi, or have you transitioned to another? Sometimes maybe you're still bi, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Xavier says, I don't think I ever came out per se. I just always knew I was not straight.
Wow.
And that is another thing to occur at times too. And I think that's kind of Lincoln's point too. He never officially came out. He per se, just almost exactly what Xavier said too. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting to me, because I feel like maybe it's just something that is taken for granted in those families. I would like to pick Lincoln's brain a little bit about this and see like what his family thought, or what they think, or what's surrounding that decision for him not to necessarily come out per se. Because I think I mentioned to you before, when I took Joe, my boyfriend, to visit my great aunt, I was sweating bullets there. I was wondering, what are they going to think? Do they even know that I'm gay? My mom said to me, she said, everybody knows, honey. You're not even, you're not fooling anybody with that. We could see that wig coming out of underneath your hat. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Lincoln identifies now as gay, of course. He's said it before. And so, but yeah, it would be interesting to break it down a little bit more. Big shout out to Amelia Duquesne, who we love, watching us live right now. Amelia says, took me until I was 26 to come out. Yeah, I was, like I said, I was 20. Sometimes it's different times. And El Rey clarifies, gay, maybe bi, curious. I've had fun with a few girls. Okay, I hear you. Nice.
Yeah, so
Well,
have
yeah, right.
I.
One of the things that I think is so talked about, the coming out, is interesting, but you and I were talking offline that sex ed may or may not have been talked about when you were growing up. It was for me, but
Uh-huh.
it was very brief, and it was always in a heteronormative arena,
Yeah.
and certainly nothing LGBTQ plus. And I can only
Mhm.
imagine why so many people suffer from it's the disinformation that kids don't get, teenagers at least, that we're not talking
Mhm.
kids, but teenagers, of
Yeah.
proper sex education, or just sex education in general. And it could lead to so many issues that could be traumatizing. I remember even in college, one of the first guys I slept with, a friend of the gymnastic team, wasn't on the gymnastic team, and
Okay.
he was very forceful in the way he wanted to have sex with me without condoms. And we're talking in the early 90s, when it was
Wow.
so important to
Mhm.
practice safe sex with condoms. And I remember reading him on all that and telling him, no, you can't do that. And wondering, going to get tested and going through that whole
Mhm.
process of the HIV test that was, I believe at that time, a 2-week process to get your results back. So,
What?
when you
Oh my
don't,
gosh.
yeah, I know, you can imagine. So, sex
That must be
ed,
nerve-wracking.
yeah, sex ed coming out is one thing, but there's no information ever really. I mean, maybe now online and through apps and so forth, you can find it. TikTok, perhaps people are learning about
Yeah.
sex ed if you come out early. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
So it's so funny because when you posed this question to me in our pre-production meeting, I had the perfect thing to say, and I was like, I am not going to let him know because I want to see his 100% authentic reaction. I was actually my first year of college coming out. Not only were my grades shitty because I was getting to live that gay life that I didn't even know I was missing out on, but I also became a peer sex educator at the local LGBTQ center in Norfolk, Virginia. So
Wow.
I know how to. We would go around to not the local schools. We would do the education in the LGBTQ center, and we would educate the youth on the proper guidelines for in order to have safe sex and gay sex. Even though I was still learning
Wow.
myself how to have gay sex, so I know how to put a condom on a cucumber with just my mouth.
Wow.
I know, right? So I'm
An
gonna put that
audience
on
is
my
about
resume.
to demonstrate right now.
Here's my cucumber right
Joe,
here.
bring in the cucumber.
I'm gonna save that for the OnlyFans, honey. Okay.
Got it. I knew we were going to get a demonstration request. What year
But
was
I'm gonna
this?
make them
Because
pay for it though.
was this for college or high school? You said, and around
It
what
was
year?
so I was a part of the college LGBTQ group, the outreach group or whatever, what have you. I think it was like the LGBTQ society. I forget what it was. But then, in addition to that, I was also a member of a peer group educator at this LGBTQ center. It was completely separate from the college.
Got
I
it.
was
Okay.
very active when I was younger. Now it's hard to get me out of bed, honey. But back in the day when I had a lot of energy, I was like 18 years old, and I don't want to say the year, 1998.
Okay, but that's my point.
Yeah.
1998. Okay, it's great. And you're talking college. Excellent. Glad you did. Glad your mouth was on a cucumber. And I do want to. I will join your OnlyFans to see that.
I mean, gotta
But
make some
we're
coins, honey.
right. But when I reference this Trevor study, they're
Mhm.
talking about people coming out younger and younger, but
Younger and
only
younger.
if they have the support are they doing okay. Suicide for so we're not that coming out means you have to have sex right away at all. If you can, but you should at least know some basics about it. And I hope
Yeah.
people are looking out for our youth, not just because of bullying and because a lot of the reason why many of them are considering suicide and committing suicide is because of threats, bullying, being ostracized by family, friends, and so on and so forth. So there's that whole problem that
Yes.
needs to be dealt with, that I think hopefully Trevor Project, thank God, is around for that.
Yes.
But then there's those that, you should just know some basics about, just like you learn hopefully in your teenage years about sex ed, you should be able to learn about that. And it could be outside of school. There could be groups. If you're in Florida and they don't want to teach this stuff in the schools, it can, then you as a parent need to look to your children to find out those things and get them the answers that they are looking for. I mean, really.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I think that's why it's so important for us to be able to teach the children in schools about everything and everything that can come their way, so that they can be prepared, not necessarily to indoctrinate them into the gay lifestyle. I'm using air quotes for our audio listeners. And because I think that that's a bunch of BS. And I think
not malarkey.
It's just so that they can actually be prepared for anything that comes their way. And you never know what a child can encounter in their life. And I think that also, learning about all that stuff bolsters their self-confidence, their self-worth, and all of that stuff. And I think that the more that you know, the better you do in life, basically. And I feel like also, if you don't have peer educators where you are at your local LGBTQ center, then I feel like there are plenty of books out there, the Gay Kama Sutra, things of that nature, that you can go and actually research these things on how to really please your partner and whomever. So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Well stated. Okay, moving on. We have to talk about this kind of a lighter story here. Of a Michigan man. So, you've talked about recently risky sex. We've talked about it on the show. What's considered risky sex, having sex in outdoor locations where you could essentially be caught, where it's not legal. Okay, that's risky sex. And you stated recently on an episode, Kodi, that we all, as many of us in the LGBTQ world or gay world, are attracted to risky sex.
Okay.
And tell us recently why you thought that. Is because sex has always been something that has been taboo and not represented that much?
Yeah, because we've had to keep our sex a secret for so long. So we get addicted to the high of actually having to keep that secret, if that makes sense.
Got it. So on that note, I do think us gays and LGBTQ are much better at having risky sex and getting away with it.
Okay.
Our hetero, we keep talking about, recently we were talking about, I believe it was in Ohio, the same fair, like an amusement park fair, had two separate incidents of two straights trying to have sex on a Ferris wheel that got caught, and then going into the haunted house at the same amusement park.
Was it the same people?
No, that's the whole point. Right. Just stupid straight people at the same, and didn't get the memo. A girl was stroking her man's cock in line before they went into the freaky deaky monster. She wanted to see the monster before she went into the haunted house. And then here's a new one. A Michigan man is finally, this is a story of last year, but he's finally found guilty of jacking off into a Tickle Me Elmo doll's mouth during a home inspection. A jury yesterday convicted a Michigan man of aggravated indecent exposure for using a Tickle Me Elmo doll to masturbate while he was inspecting a residence on behalf of a potential purchaser. Kevin Van Leuven. We will call him out.
We got his full name?
Kevin Van Leuven. When you're dumb, you get called out.
Oh my God.
Who's 60, was found guilty of the misdemeanor following a one-day trial in Oakland County Circuit Court. The jury acquitted Van Leeuwen of malicious destruction of property, also a misdemeanor. and a $2,000 fine. The indecent exposure count carries a maximum penalty for 2 years in prison. He essentially was working in the house doing an inspection and went up and grabbed, there's a picture of him too that they have. So they had a camera in the baby's room, and he grabbed the Tickle Me Elmo, went into the closet and masturbated on the Tickle Me Elmo. And I don't know what says not sexy at all than an Elmo doll.
I know, right? I could never.
But it's like, what are the straights? Sorry, listeners who might be straight, but you're just not, you don't have our savviness that we have to be able to get away with risky sex. I mean, come on.
I know, right?
We don't want to give away all our secrets. It's a gene.
You're right.
We were born this way. Damn it. I was born this way to figure out in Fire Island that I could have sex on a rooftop, and not that risky in Fire Island. I mean, who's really policing?
I've had sex on the Fire Island.
But that's not really that risky if you think about it. It's not that risky. I had sex in my stairwell with my neighbor who I was dating at the time during the height of the pandemic. So piece all that together. And we, for shits and giggles, thought it would be fun to have sex. But we knew there was no cameras in there. And we had it. We did it. We had it. We did it. We smacked it up, and
nice.
And it was fun. Flipped it and rub it down. And I've had some other risky sex in bathrooms around the city and overseas and so on and so forth. But the key is,
dicks in bathrooms, I've lost count.
Right. But don't get caught. I mean, it's just so dumb.
I'm telling you, we should really, you know what? We should start making them feel like they have to hide their sex, and maybe then they'll get better at it. We should flip the script on them so that they feel a little bit ashamed of being straight, and maybe then they'll become better at having risky sex. What do you think about that?
I like that. What are people saying, Kodi, before I move on to our next story?
People are saying that Amelia says, do you guys think the newer generation are less prone to practice and learn about practicing safe sex with PrEP being around now? What do you think, Steve?
Well, I thought of this actual statement, what Amelia is alluding to, and I don't know, you might not know to think about that if you don't have the proper education on HIV status. And by the way, are you even able to get PrEP when you're coming out at 13 through 17? Yeah. I'm assuming the answer is no, because we can barely get it at
your parents.
I'm sorry.
Well, I was thinking you probably have to have your parents' approval, because I think
but
young
that whole statement that you just said.
Yeah.
First of all, if we're talking about children coming out, or adolescents coming out between the ages of 13 to 17 and contemplating suicide, I don't think they're going to then go to their parents and say, and by the way, I heard about, did they even know about PrEP? Whose insurance is this going under? Is the parents going to be okay? That's a whole thing that I don't find even realistic in the first place. PrEP wasn't around when I was in the 80s, but I guarantee my father was not going to call his insurance company. My Catholic Mexican father was just going to slap me around, and we wouldn't even get to the conversation about a drug called PrEP that he's going to have to call his doctor under. I mean, it's just not believable for many families, I think, at all. So I think just even knowing that is not going to happen.
Yeah. Okay. I would like to think that with all of everything that's available to the younger generation, I would hope that they are practicing safer sex, and because they have more knowledge as far as the AIDS epidemic and everything is concerned. So it's my hope that they are actually practicing safer sex.
Also commenting
So
right now is El Rey, and he says if he did it at home, referring to the Tickle Me Elmo, if he did it at home, the Tickle Me Elmo would have still been questionable, but he's out of line for not keeping it to himself. Yeah.
Keep your fetishes at home. Make sure that they don't. Because whose Tickle Me Elmo was he jacking off into? That's my question.
At the house that he was
I know, but
inspecting.
it must be
a baby's.
Some child's Tickle Me Elmo that he's ruined that child for the rest of their life. That's horrible. That's deplorable, and I can't believe that the straights excommunicated. I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah. First of all, just dumb in every respect. I do remember as a child, the neighbors are here. I am divulging more information.
That's the theme of this show.
Let me think about this story. No, I can tell it. We're back to the 80s again, and the neighbors across the street. I remember them. There were a couple, and they were lovely. And they asked if I would watch, take their mail in, and I believe they had a cat that they wanted me to feed. And I remember the husband was probably like in his 40s, hot and beefy, big chest. Ooh. And they had a waterbed. That tells you how old this time was.
I used to love waterbeds.
I went into the bedroom and looked at the waterbed, and I picked up the mattress, and he had, or somewhere, and I found his Playboy. And I looked at that, and I did find his underwear in the hamper, and I smelled it.
Nice. I love it.
And I was into that. Yeah.
Like that.
And I jacked off thinking to that. So, but 80s, and in my neighborhood, we did not have cameras, and I knew there was no cameras because it was middle class, but nobody had, 80s, we didn't have cameras like that. And if so, I didn't get caught ever. I think.
Should I go now? Should I go?
Go.
Because I have one. Oh my gosh. So when I was younger, we had this family friend. I don't know where he had a bunch of Playboys, right? But he also had a bunch of penthouses, and he had one Playgirl. And
in Penthouse, you could get a little dick in there.
You can get a little dick in Penthouse.
So did my guy have a little bit of that too, right?
Oh my god, I just snorted.
Snorted. It's not a show till Kodi snorts.
Oh my gosh. So I wore that Playgirl out. I took it out. I don't know why they left me alone. I must have been like 14, 13. And I grinded on the Playgirl. I know he was like, what the hell is going on with this Playgirl? Who used this thing like that? It was really, really bad because I don't know why he had it either, because it was
okay. Look at our stories. We got away with
single man.
Number one, we got away with it, unlike Tickle Me Elmo guy. I mean, how humiliating. B, at least yours was a Playgirl, and mine was, and it was the underwear, Kodi. Remember when the 80s, there was silky, men would wear those silky briefs that,
yes.
And I was like sniffing them and all that, but they were in the hamper, and I think I did check up. I did, yeah, I was I was totally into it, but they were going to be washed in the next round of laundry, so I was safe there. But we didn't get caught, and it wasn't a doll that belonged to a child. We were adolescents as well. This is a grown-ass 60-year-old man who's on the job using a Tickle Me Elmo. Shame on you, mister. And that's why you get caught.
For 2 years.
Go. And pay that $2,000. Yeah.
Don't pass go. Don't collect $200.
Hey guys, your buddy Steve V here. And I hope, like myself, you are getting out there a little bit more, if you know what I mean. It's also officially cuffing season. By getting out there, you want to be able to have as many hot experiences as you can and last as long as you can in bed. When I'm with that special person, I want to last all night long. When I'm single like I am now, I want to be able to go to those play parties and also be able to last all night long. Well, I'm really excited to tell you about Roman swipes. Roman swipes are convenient, they're over-the-counter wipes, and they're clinically proven to help you last longer in bed. So they're uniquely formulated so that they can reduce overstimulation without eliminating sensation altogether. All you got to do is remove the disposable swipe from its discreet little pocket-sized packet, wipe on the most sensitive part of your penis, and allow to dry for about 5 minutes. When it's used correctly, Roman swipes leave no scent or taste, so there's no transfer to your partner. They're safe, effective, and no prescription is needed. Try swipes today with a special offer just for our listeners. Get 20% off your first order. Simply go to getroman.com/tags, TAGS. That's getroman.com/tags, TAGS for 20% off.
El Rey says, remember the International Male magazine. And
Okay, well, then we got to talk about this next story. Let's skip to the next story because it's
Let's go.
So we just, El Rey, I don't know if you were listening a couple episodes ago, but we were just talking about there's a brand new, you might not know this, a brand new documentary coming out that's making the festival circuit on International Male, and it looks amazing. You watched it, Kodi.
Yes.
Right? And we were talking all about what that meant to us and how amazing. And we actually had a story that we're going to skip to it right now and we'll address International Male. Yes, was super popular. Can you drop it in the comment section? I'll post this on TAGSPodcast.com so they know what we're talking about. But models, yes. So the article is entitled "Models Drop Their Trousers for the Magazine Dust Magazine." With the rise of magazines like Yummy and Ooh La La, it seems the editorial world is becoming more welcoming to full frontal male nudity. And from the male gaze to gaze, it's an evolution, as they write on Cock and Cocktails. And one such magazine, yeah, I like that. One such magazine is Dust, who have featured Pablo Fernandez, but not his underwear. They've actually featured a whole load of models where they're wearing fashion on top and completely naked on the bottom. And if you scroll through it, the one man has a Celine sweater on, a headset dangling, the kind that plugs in like mine right now, and a t-shirt. And you scroll down and go, oh, whoa. And there is an uncut penis staring at you. And then they show the rest of them.
It winked a little bit.
It winks and it nods. There's also some females. I just noticed. I didn't notice the first time around, but mainly males. And what do you think is up with this? Because like El Rey suggested, we talked about this offline, and it might be the current marketing trend to show full frontal and sell the clothes. I don't know if it's really selling to me, and I am by no means a prude. Guys, I told you I jacked off to my neighbor's underwear, so I'm clearly not a prude at all. Just don't get caught. But the thing of it all is I'm with El Rey and you and this new International Male documentary, and I'm about the old school way where you showed a little bit and you left a lot to the imagination. Yeah. And boy, my imagination went wild. How about you? What's your thoughts on this?
I totally agree. I feel like I love penises. Okay. They're my in the top 10 of my favorite things, honestly. But I feel like this is a little bit too much. It's flaccid. It doesn't get my juices going as far as advertising is concerned. It doesn't make me want to buy the clothes. Like you said, I feel like the more that's left to the imagination, the better off you'll be. Because with those other clothes, you can kind of imagine undressing those people, and it was really, really hot. But I feel like here that there's no undressing, there's nothing left to the imagination. It's just here's a dick, and
well, here's a Celine sweater for $3,000 and a dick,
with a side of dick,
with a side of dick. The thing is, I'm going to put this statement out there,
okay,
that you might not like, but maybe we're just not ready for this.
Maybe
and I
we
say
are.
that as somebody that all summer long went to the nude beach in Jersey and had a great time, Gunnison Nude Beach, and really got comfortable. Finally, I think I'm finally comfortable being naked in public and in really embracing it and all for what it's worth, and thinking, yeah, after it takes a minute, but you really get into it, and it's not sexual at all.
Mhm.
And then I met somebody that my wingman friend called over, and as we were calling over, he was getting hard as he was talking to me because we were flirting.
That's hot.
And then another time I was looking next.
Sorry.
Okay, White Claw. I was looking next door to our neighbor. I'm going to say our neighbor that was lying next to us, but our neighbor, as we were sharing quarters practically, who was stroking his cock hard.
That's
I
hot.
did not tell my friend, who's on the spectrum of, I don't know what he is, but just because I think that would have freaked him out. So I do think we're not quite there yet. And even though you can be free and naked is nakedness, I think when you try and combine fashion and nakedness, you're just gonna, like, I wouldn't want that magazine on my coffee table with all my other beautiful coffee table books, and my mom come over and be like, oh, what's this? And I'm like, no, Mom, don't open that one up.
There's dicks there. Can you imagine?
I can't. And so, yeah, I'm just not there yet. And that's why I think maybe as a society, we're not quite there yet. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just think that it's just not really that sexy. I think that it's and El Rey agrees with me, and I really think that, are we puritanical? Are we prudes now because we don't think that the bottom half naked is hot, and it makes me want to buy a Celine sweater for too much money that I don't have?
I just think we're on the verge of it.
Okay.
We're seeing men's genitalia now finally in certain productions, on the stage, on screen. We haven't seen that 5-10 years ago, and it was like, oh my God, women's bodies were always okay. So it was kind of misogynistic, if you ask me. So now we're leveling that playing field out, that, oh well, there can actually be a penis on stage and on the screen. I don't know but usually it's done in a situation that's natural on screen or on stage. There's a reason why. I don't know why on a fashion magazine that, I guess people, I mean, you're walking around in your underwear right now doing a show. So that's your lifestyle, drinking a White Claw. I won't go into what all that says about you. Wearing a fishnet.
I'm fabulous.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Exactly. I'm going to actually push back a little bit, though, because on stage and screen, I do find it a little bit sexy. Just think about Jesse Williams in Take Me Out. Him having his flaccid penis out and Take Me Out, I thought that was very, very hot. It's just for the advertisements, I feel like you should leave a little bit to the imagination, because the whole undressing part of it is the sexy part of it.
No, but to your point, what I meant by those stage and screen is conducive to the show.
Okay.
He's in the locker room on Take Me Out of a baseball team, and yes, they didn't maybe need to put that in there, but he is in a locker room where you do take off your clothes and it's realistic to the storyline. Sometimes there's sex scenes happening, and they, for years and years, didn't include the penis, but they would show women's breasts and everything else.
Yeah,
so it's
fair.
a sex scene, and why? Yeah. So I think it's leveling the playing field out, and they're also conducive to what's going on the storyline. I'm not sure what a Celine sweater and then seeing an uncut.
Next week I'm going to do the show with no underwear.
All right, so will I. And let's see
And we'll
if
see.
we feel relevant and how we feel. Let's
Okay,
do it.
yeah.
We invite our
Let's do
audience.
it.
Let's do it. Yeah. If you join our pre-show, we may or may not give you a preview of that we really are. I will. Will you?
I cannot make that promise.
We won't be recording. I'm just a question.
Let me discuss it with my boyfriend.
One of the two
I'm
hosts.
practically married.
You're practically married. We gave Kodi such a hard time on that. I know.
I loved every second of it, though.
Okay. Thank you for playing on that. Okay. Where are we on the show? I think we got to skip that last topic that we were going to go to.
Reading the straight haters for filth?
Straight haters. Sorry, what topic are you talking about?
Reading the tweets, reading the street haters.
Yeah, let's get to the Reddit story.
Okay, let's go.
Don't you think that one?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so there's a recent Reddit thread that caught my attention, and we've talked a lot. I guess I'm obsessed with when people talk about flirting, and I've had different comments on the show on how I thought I'm a good flirter, but actually now this Redditor has me thinking differently now. So what are your most successful IRL in real life flirting strategies? I had to look up IRL, Kodi. I feel like flirting is.
Do you want to tell the guests what it is?
Yeah, I said it. I mean, in real life. Yeah, in real life.
I apologize.
So I feel like flirting is becoming a lost art, he writes. As for many young guys, most of my dating experiences have been on the apps. And now there's nothing wrong with that. However, when you meet up with a Tinder or Grindr date, you don't have to go through the do they like me phase. You know they're physically attractive enough to you to meet up. Expectations are mostly clear as well. Hook up or date, who tops, who bottoms. You basically just have to execute. Flirting feels very safe. The risk of rejection is much lower. He writes, and while I'm pretty successful on the apps, I have a much harder time in the clubs, parties, hangouts, etc. There have been only a handful of times where I took someone home from a party, but in those instances, the attraction from the other person was very obvious, like constant staring. A friend of mine who's 10 years older almost solely dates in real life and seems to have such an easy time with it. He's definitely attractive, but he's not your tall. Okay, I'm just going to go. There's a lot here. Every time we go out to gay spaces, he seems to get the guy he's interested in, even if there seems to be no initial rapport between them. But there is the moment where he decides to go after someone and the energy just shifts. There must be something about the way he approaches, looks, talks, thinks that makes him so irresistible. Okay, final paragraph. Now I'm wondering, he says, seductive gaze of Reddit, what are your most successful hands-on strategies when you're romantically or sexually interested in someone in real life? And I'm not talking about some con artist, pickup artist shit. I'm also not talking about basics. Yeah. What mindset and what behavior makes you most seductive? And, before I read this, I think I thought I had good game when I went out and flirting, but I'll tell you the second half of my thing that I do that I don't really think is flirting anymore. But the first thing that came to mind was I was at the Eagle here in New York City about a week ago, and I met a guy, and we went home, we had great sex. I talked about it on episode 406, so you can listen to that one to know about how it went. It went great. But the reality of the situation was I asked him in bed after we had sex the second time, and I said, how did we meet? Because I had a couple too many tequilas. And I said, how did we really meet? He said, oh, simply, I saw you were getting your dick sucked, and I thought, that looks good. He could do better than the guy that's sucking it. And I said, pulled you up from him and said, what are you doing? And I said, do you want to go home with me? And I said, but I'm basically a bottom. And he said, I'm versatile. That's okay. And we went home. Meanwhile, I topped him. But the point is, he went for what he wanted. There was no flirtation. He just looked down and saw what he saw and thought I could do better and grabbed me up and brought me home. There's
and
no
it worked.
flirting in that. It's just directness. And the other thing I will say is I thought I flirted a lot. I just tend to talk to a lot of people when I do go out. I'm somewhat of a loner in general, but when I do leave my space here, I set an intention every single time to connect with whoever I come in contact. And it could be anybody.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I do is if I go to one of the bars here in New York called Monster, is a sit down bar on the top floor. And I'll go there by myself, order a martini, and whoever sits to the left or right of me, I have a conversation with.
That's beautiful.
9 times out of 10, it's great. I might even flirt with them a little bit. Maybe it leads somewhere, maybe it doesn't. Just be open and talk to people. And if you connect with somebody, you can layer in a little flirtation and cuteness, which can be fun. What are your thoughts on this?
No, I agree with you. I think that we should go to the Monster and I should sing a couple songs and you should just flirt with everybody. I love it.
Can we plan that?
I want to do that so bad.
Okay.
But I totally agree with you. You just talk to people. It's about making those connections. Your mother warned you when you were a kid not to talk to strangers, but as an adult, let all that shit go. When you get older, and talk to as many strangers as you can, especially if they have the balls and the chutzpah to come up and speak to you first. Because I think that it takes a lot of personal self-fortitude in order to go up and actually talk to other people. So be receptive to other people. When you're in a safe environment, it will never ever diminish you to talk to another person. It will only provide more context and more colors to who you are as a person. So I say talk to as many people as possible. If you're actually interested in the person, my tip is to touch them in respectful ways as much as possible. On the shoulder.
I'm thinking abort.
No, not on the butt or on the.
Okay, thank you. I was like,
in respectful
pull
ways.
his mic, producer.
Not anywhere that will get you a lawsuit for sexual harassment.
Okay.
So touch them on the shoulder. You can even touch their chest. Oh, that's a very erogenous zone, but it's still very safe if you touch them on their chest. And
can you do a Janet?
Not in the thunder and rain. Okay. And that is a good way to gauge their whether or not they're interested in you as well. So the physical touch is amazing.
Yes, absolutely. And I do think, with the cocktail, if you do imbibe, can give you a little bit of liquid courage to talk to. As El Rey just says, the more people you talk to, the easier it is.
And a White Claw.
Or a White Claw. It's a numbers game. But you also have to be mindful that you're going out. Not everything needs to be the hookup of the night, your next husband, your next boyfriend. It could just be somebody, not even the next friendship. It could just be the lovely person that you talk to that evening. And I've met so many, and you'll know in the first few minutes whether or not they're receptive or not receptive to it. It could be just a few minutes, but it's kind of I say for those out there that are nervous about putting themselves out there and how do I do this, go to your local bar, order even a mocktail if you don't drink, but if you do drink, even better. And just strike up a conversation. Start with the bartender. Most bartenders in major cities, if you go on a Thursday night, a Tuesday night, have a little bit more time on their hands to talk to them. You'll get a little bit more lay of the land of the bar and what the nights are. You can ask them. This is what I actually do. I'm not speaking out of turn. Yeah. This is actually what I've done in the past. So that way I know I can go on a Thursday night here into the Monster, get a seat at the bar where I couldn't get it on Friday or Saturday. And I can actually sit there and I'll have a drag queen sit next to me. I'll have a transgender another time sitting to the right of me. I'll have a person of a certain age who sit to the left of me. I'll have a twink sit to, you'll be surprised at the fabulous conversations that you have that I chalk it up to here in New York that, oh, so New York, but it can be wherever you're at. And it can be such a fun experiment with yourself to push yourself. And it's just connecting with people. And in that mix, you might find some sexiness in what your game really is, but you got to put yourself in the arena to be able to find out what your game actually is.
Yeah, I totally agree. Just aim for a connection.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Right. Xavier says, I appreciate being direct since most times I don't notice they are flirting. Yeah.
So you know what? I am good at spotting when somebody's flirting with my friends, but when somebody's flirting with me, it goes right over my head. So I totally get that.
Yeah.
I'm completely oblivious when somebody flirts with me. So, yeah.
And
the direct approach is good.
Yeah, and sometimes flirting can be, there's a guy in my grocery store that I go to downstairs here in my building that he's gay, and he told me once before he saw me at a concert, and I thought about asking him out, but then we just have this really great rapport that is really lovely. I know him by his first name. I shout out to him. He shouts back at my name, and it just gives me a good feeling. It's a lesson in just putting yourself out there, not being so closed off when you go out there. Not everything needs to turn into a romantic sexual hookup, but know that it could. And by opening the door, it's just lovely, I think, to be open to talking to so many various types of people. And I know in major cities, it's a treat to be able to talk to so many people. And, not everyone's going to be great. But that's okay.
That's true. And it's okay because you've learned from that experience and you take that experience forward. I agree.
You'll learn to move on quickly from those that you don't want to be around. And that's another thing too. All right. In the comment section, I put in, we're going to play our favorite game as we round out the show, Straight Up Gay Porn's Thirst Trap. And before we get to that, as you guys watching us live can click on there and find out your favorites, because it's our job to descriptively tell you why we think they took the hottest photo of the week. But I want to tell you quickly about our current sponsor. It's Roman, getroman.com/tags, getroman.com/tags to get 20% off. And one of the things that they're really promoting right now are these Roman swipes. Ooh. Roman swipes, you just put on a tip of your penis. That's the most sensitive area that will still give you this sensation and not implant it onto your partner so they won't taste it, and you can last longer in bed. And who doesn't want to last longer in bed? They come in these great little swipes. You can have sex till your heart's desire for those all-nighters. I am here for it. They're really great. You can go to getroman.com/tags right now to get 20% off and put this game. They make great stocking stuffers.
Yes,
stuffers.
Stocking stuffers. You can stuff my stocking anytime now.
There you go.
Cut the tongue twisty part out, okay?
Right. So check that out. And right now it's time for Straight Up Gay Porns. Every week they do this. This week they have 18 gay porn stars, and they ask the question, who took the best photo or video of the week? And it's our job to tell you why we think so on an audio podcast. And, I just had to come right in there. There were some really good winners for me, but Chirac won my vote, partly because I met him at CyberSocket when we were nominated earlier this year for Best Sex Podcast, and he graciously took a picture with me, but he was so nice. And in this video, he's in a mirror by himself. And I was so, I think, I love the fact that he was different from his persona. In other words, in real life, he's kind of a badass. And in this video, he's in the bathroom traveling in Paris, because he lists as Paris. And you can tell it's Paris, by the way, because if any of you have been to Paris, bathrooms are tiny like they are in major cities. But I think it's there is on the right of him a blow dryer, but it's like this really old school, almost a vacuum cleaner type blow dryer thing that, of course, only Paris would have. But meanwhile, he looks gorgeous. His chest is amazing. He has Calvin Klein underwear on, and in the looking badass, he pulls his dick out of the Calvin Klein underwear. It's thick and it's hard, and I'm here for it. And I just love him. And he could not have been nicer in real life, which I love that dichotomy of badass, I'm going to, and then being so nice in person. Who's your, yeah.
You literally stole mine again this week. I don't know.
Damn it.
Never have the same one. But okay, I'll just go with, first I'll say that Genius Tony Genius is just too sexy. But what is going on in the background of that picture?
Let me get to it.
It is ridiculous. He's got clothes. He's got a toilet. He's got all the things.
Is your point, is it a mess?
It's a mess. And he is too cute, but I wanted to pick him, but I just could not. My sensibilities would not let me pick him. So I'm gonna go with Chirac is my first, but then I'm gonna go with Jason Vario as my official pick because he has on a gaming rig. It's like a microphone with two what is it called? The speaker, not the speakers. What are these called?
We got 2 minutes, Kodi. To
go. He's in a bathroom and he's taking a picture with a gaming rig on, and he's got on a hoodie and just this enormous fat cock, and it's just beautiful. And he's gorgeous. So yeah, that's my pick for this week because you stole mine. I was going to say everything that you said.
Sorry, were you going to say that you met him as well?
No, I wasn't going to say.
Oh, I didn't think you did. Okay, got
it. But all the things that's about Paris.
That's hilarious.
I was like, this is Paris, and he has on Parisian rap in the background, and it is just. I was like, this is the one right here.
We can pick the same ones, by the way. We don't have any holds on this, but
okay, I get that. But I do love a different one than you.
I do love the one that you did say that had the messy background because I've noticed a theme over the 5 years of doing this show that all my co-hosts do as much. Maybe sometimes I've been a slob in my life before, but I don't want to slob in my pictures or any of that. And I notice all the co-hosts do not like sloppiness going on in the back. If nothing else, throw everything in the refrigerator for the picture.
Hello.
And take that picture, and then you can pull it out at the end. But don't show it to the people of the world. Plus your beautiful dick. You could have the biggest dick ever, and we are noticing all that pile of dirty underwear that needs to go to the laundromat. I
can't come.
And you can't come because it's just bothersome. El Rey says Jason V. I will post this on TAGSPodcast.com for you guys to vote. And Xavier says Tony G is my pick, but that same thing with the mess Tony in the background.
Yeah. So his vote, he switched his vote to Ethan now. So I'm not alone here.
Love it. And I am posting our website, TAGSPodcast.com, for you guys to follow. Follow us at Tags Podcast on all social media platforms, including the TikTok. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to go to Patreon to support us. We really appreciate all the recent supporters that keeps the show going. You can go to patreon.com/Tags Podcast and grab a tier. You'll be supporting sex positive OG podcast known as Talk About Gay Sex or Tags Podcast, and support my co-host Kodi Maurice Doggette because he is a life coach at KMD Coaching, or at his personal account. Maybe you'll get that underwear shot at Mr. Maurice. And we want to thank all of our live viewers for watching us. We really appreciate it. It makes the show much more fun. You can continue to tweet us at Tags Podcast on what your thoughts on topics that we talked about. So keep the conversation going. We'll be back with new shows next week. Thanks, Kodi. So much fun.
Thank you, babe. So much fun always.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the meantime, continue having hot gay sex.